New crew this morning. We are starting seeds. I'm probably gonna have some helpers with me today, but I am trying the whole milk jug little greenhouse thing. Last night Joe cut open this whole laundry basket full of milk jugs that I've been saving over the course of the winter, and we're just gonna pop our soil in here, put our seeds on top, and kind of close these bad boys up. Joe's bringing home some tape today on his way home from work so we can tape these shut, and then we're just gonna set these in windowsills. This method's supposed to be really good. Never done it before, but it's supposed to be really nice because you don't require grow lights or heat pads, which I do have both of, but I've never been a great seed starter. So we're trying this method today. We're gonna see how this goes over. I've got my seed starting mix. I laid out all of my seeds. I have 13 of these jugs here. So some of these jugs I'm gonna put multiple different types of tomatoes in because I have a lot of tomatoes I'm growing this year for the first time. So I only want a couple of each plant just to try them out, get a little bit of variety in. Also, I'm only starting what I cannot buy locally as starts from my local Amish shop. My Amish shop sells starts for like $1 for 4 plants or $1.25 for 4 plants, just depending on what you're purchasing. So it's a lot cheaper to just buy those couple of things from the Amish and a lot more convenient. So I'm only starting some fun things, things that my local Amish greenhouse don't provide. And we are going to start with some Sugar Rush peach peppers. I'm labeling each one of my milk jugs with what's in them. And if I'm putting multiple things in, I'll just write on each corner of the milk jug for what side has which tomatoes in and things like that, because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna end up putting multiple tomatoes in one of these little makeshift greenhouse things. Should be pretty short, simple, and to the point today, but I'm gonna do this one off camera because I've never done this before and I just wanna get my method down, and then I'll bring you guys along and we will kind of finish off filling the rest of our milk jugs with different seeds today. So let's go ahead and get going. What seems to work the best after doing 2 of these is to take a full quart's worth of soil, dump it in the bottom of the jug, wet it, stir it around a little bit, add the seeds, add another cup or so of soil on top, go ahead and water, label the jug, and then go ahead and set it over yonder, and then I'll tape them up tonight when my husband gets home with the said tape. When it comes to all of my tomatoes, I'll link down below my seed haul for you guys if you're interested in everything I ordered, like full in-depth descriptions on everything. When it comes to tomatoes that are for like salad slicing sandwiches, which is what these pink Berkeleys are, I'm gonna do 3 down one side of the milk jug. And if I have any that are more of like a multi-purpose tomato, I could make them into sauces or stews or things like that. I will add more tomatoes, more seeds, and I'll probably do like a whole jug of those just to give myself a little bit of variety. But because I have a lot of tomatoes that are like for slicing sandwiches, salads, things like that, I only need a couple plants of each of those, and if they don't all take, that's okay. If I get 1 plant, perfect. And we'll just kind of mix it up, and hopefully enough will take of at least some of these that we'll be able to try most of them, and if not, no worries. I can always come back in a couple of days and do more starts just in plastic cups like I normally do and put those under grow light. So today is just kind of like the first round of things. We'll see how things go, and hopefully all in all things should be okay. Walt is helping by picking our packets for us. He wants to do the watermelons next. I have 3 different varieties here. These 2 are from a local Amish shop. I have Dixie Queen, Sangria, and Sugar Babies. I'm gonna do a couple of each in here, probably, you know, in the 5 corners or 4 corners, 1 in the middle, and make sure that we're labeling our sides here.
Yeah, we're labeling.
Yeah, gotta make sure we're labeling. I'm really bad at labeling, so I'm trying to do better at that this year.
Yeah, this year.
Yes. And it's not about being perfect, it's just about hopefully being slightly better than I was last year. And if I label anything,
and I forgot,
I'll be better than what I did last year. Doing 2 Sugar Babies, 2 Sangrias, and then I'll do 2 of these
Watermelons.
Dixie Queens. I never have really good luck with watermelon in general. It's just something that never really grows well for me here. This is kind of the last year I'm trying it. I'm trying it in a couple different variations. I'm going to start some seeds. I'm going to get some seeds from the Amish, and we're going to do some experimenting. So follow along with this because this is going to have like updated videos and whatnot. I also have some seeds that I will just direct sow that you can start as starts, but I tend to just direct sow them. I live in zone 4B, so I can't do that with a lot, but with what I can, I like to try to because it just saves time and I don't have to use as much plastic and all sorts of things like that. So some of those things being like lettuces, some squash, pumpkins, things like that. Sometimes I will just direct sow into the ground, but like I said, a lot of that stuff I'll get as starts from my local Amish shop because I don't want a ton, and in some senses because I can get them so cheaply at my Amish shop, it's the same, it's actually, well, it's cheaper than it is for a whole seed packet. And when it comes to things like pumpkins and melons and maybe cucumbers, things that don't grow well for me in my garden, and I only want a couple starts, or we just don't need a whole lot of, I will get those from the Amish shop because carrying seeds year to year, germination rates go down, the effectiveness can go down. Speaking of having leftover seeds, this is also the year of trying to finish out some seed packets I had from years past. So this is an Isis Candy Cherry Tomato. These are great. We had these last year. We really liked them. And these are always a favorite. These Moonbeam tomatoes are some of our favorites. Both of these are just kidding. Are these both? Yes, these are both indeterminate type cherry tomatoes, so they will go all season long basically until the plant dies. Really great. The kids love them for snacking in the garden and whatnot, so we're gonna do a couple of these Moonbeams, a couple of these Isis cherries, and then I also have some blueberry cherries that I got this year also from MI Gardener, also in indeterminate. Basically all fruit sizes are the same. So we're gonna see how we like these, but I'm hoping these do somewhat well. My local Amish shop has carried these Moonbeam tomatoes the last 2 years in a row, but they kind of play around with fun new seeds every year, and sometimes they will have those and sometimes they don't. So I never want to assume that they're gonna have them, so I would like to start a couple down the middle of this milk jug. I think we're gonna do these candy cherry tomatoes. And then down the right hand side, I will do some of these blueberry ones. I'm putting in quite a few of those seeds because they are from last year, just to make sure germination rates are still good. I can always go back and kind of pick off some of the weaker ones, keep the starts that germinate that look the best. And we can never have too many tomatoes here, so if we have a ton, I can always transplant some of these into a different pot if I really need to, or I can give some starts away. All of my family members have gardens, so there's that. Plus we have officially decided we're putting the garden in the permaculture orchard this year. Old garden space is going to be turned into chicken run, duck run. We're gonna put a pond in there, finish the fencing off, and just keep all of our fruits and vegetables in the permaculture orchard behind the best fence that we have on the property. Hopefully it'll be a lot easier to maintain, less grass mowing in there as well, less weed whacking. So hopefully all that will work well. So I'm just kind of going hog wild because there are so many places to plant in there and I want to fill it. So for these ones where they're all just different types of cherry tomatoes, I just put down like our candied, our moonbeam, and our blueberry, and then I just wrote cherry tomatoes on top of the whole jug. So I know this whole thing is cherry tomatoes. These are the varieties here. And hopefully I won't have to transplant these before our last frost date. Technically, I'm starting some of these a little later than I should be, I live in zone 4B, which basically means my last frost date is usually somewhere between like the middle of May and the end of May, but we are not unknown to get random snowstorms or hailstorms like the first week of June even. So we tend to plant a little bit later. Hopefully these will be good in here, and if they end up needing more room, I can just finish cutting the top of this greenhouse off, leave them in the bottom of this milk jug, and we can just carry the whole milk jug out and plant all of our cherries together. They'll all be in one spot, assuming I don't get different ones from the Amish. So now we're gonna put about another cup of soil over the top of these, give it a little bit of drink, and add it to our pile over there, and then just keep going and repeating the process. I think everything else that I have some cucumbers, some peppers, and the rest are all tomatoes. I might start a couple cantaloupes, depending on how many jugs I have here, free and ready to be used up. But pretty much everything else we're planting, I'm gonna do just like this, multiple varieties in one bin here, and just keep kind of rotating it out, doing the same process over and over again, but really it's just kind of going to be that simple today. We are going to do tomatoes in this one as well. I just want to talk to you guys about this because these Brandywine Pinks, these ones are a multi-purpose tomato. It says that it's good for sandwiches, BLTs, but you could also use it to make tomato soup, pasta sauces, things like that. So these ones are also vigorous. They require a lot of caging, so I'm going to write that right on this start packet to remind me, because once I put these seed packets away, I'm not gonna remember. So I'm gonna write that right on here. And these Hillbilly tomatoes, these are just straight up for slicing. They look delicious though. So I'm gonna do more of these, probably 2 or 3 of these. I might rethink that, because now what I'm thinking is maybe I'll just do a whole container of these, because they are multi-purpose. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, I get all of my aromas from the Amish, which is typically what I'll use to make my sauces and things, but this is an indeterminate type of tomato, which means it's just gonna keep growing for me all season long, where Romas are a determinate, which basically means they're only gonna produce until they reach a certain amount of tomatoes, and then once they've reached that certain amount of tomatoes, they're done. Last year I grew those for the first time pretty much solely, and was completely unprepared for the difference in the amount of tomatoes between my indeterminates that I'm used to and determinates. So this year I'm going back, we're growing some of our indeterminates, and we're gonna do a little bit of a mix. So these are our Brandywine Pinks. Brandywine needs caging, so I'll make sure that this gets on a trellis, or all of these plants are prioritized to get on a trellis. That way I can kind of spread these out wide as they need to be, and make sure that I'm tying these up you know, well enough here. Okay, so I kind of want to take 2 seconds just to look through the rest of my tomatoes here. I have 6 more tomato packets that I want to start today. These chocolate stripes, we know we really like. Once again, it's an indeterminate. These are slicing salad tomato. The kids loved to just slice these up with a little bit of salt and eat these. These also pair really well with fresh mozzarella and basil. It's less acidic, it's a little bit more sweet. It's a milder tomato without losing any of the flavor, if that makes any sense. We really like these, so I want to make sure we grow enough of those. These Abe Lincolns. Okay, so this is another one, ketchup, tomato sauces, things like that. So I want to make sure I'm getting a whole container of those. This is another one, these Black Princes. It says that it's really good for tomato paste, tomato products, things like that. I'm gonna want to make sure I grow enough of those. These big rainbows I grew last year. I do remember having some of these. We liked these. These are another all-purpose variety, but they're orange, yellow, red. They kind of come in different shapes, sizes, all the things. But these were really great. These grew huge last year as well, so I want to make sure I'm growing a good amount of those. So my Hillbilly tomatoes and my Gold Medal tomatoes are pretty interchangeable. I didn't really realize that when I ordered it. Maybe I did and I didn't care. So I think we'll put these 2 in a jar, or in a jug rather. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 different types of tomatoes. I want to make sure I'm getting a good amount in. I have 2 types of cucumbers I wanted to start today, and 2, maybe 3 types of peppers. We're gonna see what the milk jugs say, because at the end of the day I can only start as many jugs as I have saved. The good news is I have another gallon of milk in the fridge that's gonna be gone probably by the end of the day today, so I can always do another round. In all seriousness though, I should probably put my peppers in here and start those, because those are actually the thing that take the longest. I should have started those like 2 weeks ago already. So I think this milk jug here is destined to be peppers. I'm gonna start some Big Jims. We did these last year. I ended up dehydrating most of these and making them into a spicy pepper salt. Some of these also ended up in salsas to make some hot salsas. We did hot sauce with these last year. Last year was my first year growing them. I got these from M.I. Gardener. This year, these spicy peppers are mostly going to be used for sweet and spicy pickles. So we're gonna label this right away. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got jalapenos and Big Jims. Let's see, can I spell? Can I spell jalapeno without looking at the seed packet? No. That's a little embarrassing. Okay, I was right. Do you ever go to write something out and it just doesn't look right in your head? That's what just happened to me. So same thing. I'm just gonna write hot peppers up here. These, when you're planting out your peppers, you kind of want to make sure that they're far enough apart. I think the average rule is like 50 feet apart, so they don't cross-pollinate. You don't get your hot peppers being cross-pollinated with your sweet peppers, or vice versa. You can get some funky looking peppers, funky tasting peppers. If that's not a priority to you, no worries. But if you're really hoping to get some raging hot peppers or something, or you're putting some ghost peppers in, you want to make sure you're putting those far enough away from your sweet peppers. Otherwise your bell peppers might get a little hotter than you're anticipating. So we'll make sure we plant these far away from our sweet peppers. In-depth job labeling these, like labeling them as tomatoes and not just like the variety, or the actually labeling them as peppers instead of just saying the type of pepper they are, because by the time garden goes in, I will be full term pregnant. And just in case this ends up being something where like my husband is finishing putting plants in the ground and I am like not there because I'm having a baby. Obviously my husband will be there with me while I have the baby, but while I'm staying in the hospital for the whole stay, my husband doesn't stay. Like that's the way we've always done it. I think it's just because we're military, or we were military, so I was very used to the idea of having a baby alone, because our second daughter we had right at the same time my husband was getting ready to deploy. So it was like, maybe he'll be here, maybe he won't. It just depends on when she decided to come. He was able to be there. But that being said, he will come to the hospital with me. I'll have the baby. He'll spend the night with me. And then during the day, like that morning, he'll come back, he'll come home, prep the kids, get ready for me to be able to come home, make sure that house is pulled back together, that things are taken care of, kids are all good, and then he will come back to the hospital, pick me up, and bring me and baby home. But during that time, he might end up having to finish putting in garden plants. So I'm trying to make sure that labeling jobs are really important this year. There we go. Here is our whole bin of chocolate stripes. We also did our hillbillies and our goldens, and I have one more jug here. And I know I have one more jug downstairs that I can go and grab, but the only other thing I wanted to start today were some cucumbers, and some cantaloupes. And maybe some zucchini, but I know I can get zucchini at my Amish shop, so it's not really like a super big priority to me. So I might just skip the zucchini and just get them as starts from the Amish. I'm thinking this jug here, I'm just gonna put in my cucumbers. These are not pickling cucumbers, these are just eating cucumbers. I have some munchers here, which the kids really liked, and then I also have some straight eights, which are like your typical grocery store cucumber, but the munchers are just short, tiny little cucumbers. The kids really liked them last year when we grew them, so I'm gonna try to grow those again. And that'll be everything that I want to start today. I'll probably go downstairs, grab my other bin, and I'll plant out a couple cantaloupes, but other than that, I'm done. I'll be able to put all of my, clean up my mess, do that. But other than that, we got a ton of jugs started today. I think 13 jugs we will have started by the end of the day today, which is great. And it's still early enough in the day where cleanup is an option and all the things. But before I go, a couple of weeks ago, we started some herbs in some cups. This is another way you can do it. Same process here, but these are my kitchen window cooking herbs. I wanted to show you guys how these were doing. So we've got some cilantro here, which is obviously doing really well. It's starting to smell really good as well. I did not label these. Shocking. I know, you guys. I'm pretty sure this is our basil. This is our oregano coming in very teeny tiny in there. And I'm pretty sure, what else did we plant? I'm pretty sure this is basil. It already has a smell. Delicious. And we made a mistake when planting. I accidentally put some lime basil in with the cilantro instead of putting it in its own cup. So this cup is actually cilantro and some lime basil, which actually I think is going to work out and it's going to be fine. But we will keep these up in the kitchen. I will start some more herbs probably in milk jugs as my milk jugs empty out. I'll just start some herbs. I want a lot of basil to plant in between my tomatoes this year because we are putting it out in the orchard. So I just wanted to give a little update on these. But other than that, thanks guys for hanging out with me today, doing a budget kind of homestead starting seeds. You don't need a lot of fancy equipment to get started. Nothing like that. Nothing fancy here today, just easy go-to stuff. Things that normally would end up in the garbage can, and we're making it work, which is honestly my favorite thing about this lifestyle and homesteading and doing everything on a budget. It's just normal things that would end up in a trash get another purpose and another life. So there we go, you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you guys in another one.